Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Myself Seema Tambe, and today's topic which I have chosen is what is dilution. Okay, what is dilution basically is and how dilution should be done. Okay, that's what I'm going to explain. Okay, let's start. Okay, so what is dilution, guys? Dilution is nothing but it's a process of mixing acid and base in water. Okay, what is dilution basically? If you are taking any of this chemical substance and you're dissolving in water, okay, take any chemical substance and dissolve in water, then that process is called as what? Dilution. Okay, so what is dilution? It's a process of mixing acid or base. Okay, you take any concentrated acid, you take any concentrated base and you dissolve in water. That process is called as dilution. Okay, so it's a process of mixing acid and base in water. Okay, now this dilution is basically, we should be careful while doing this dilution. Why? Because as the solution which we are making will be concentrated acid or concentrated base solution. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to always, while dilution, you need to make sure that you should always add acid or base into water. Okay, always add acid or base into water. Why? We should always add acid and base to water. Why? Because this mixing of acid or base in water is highly exothermic reaction. Okay, why you should always add acid and base, that too slowly, in water? Okay, why you should add acid and base slowly into water? Because this mixing of acid and base in water is a highly exothermic reaction. Means whenever you are taking concentrated acid or concentrated base and you're dissolving in water, what happens? The large amount of heat is generated. Okay, hence it is always preferred that you should add acid and base slowly into water, and that too constant stirring. Okay, but if you add water into acid, this is what you should always add, what? Acid or base slowly into water. Okay, but if you add water directly into this concentrated acid or base, what happens? Okay, how, as I said, it's a highly exothermic reaction. So what happens? It will lead to the spill or the splash of that reaction mixture. Okay, whenever you are adding water directly into that concentrated acid or base, it leads to splash of that acid or base onto you. Okay, which might leads to burns onto your skin, or also the container in which you're performing this dilution, that also might break. So it is very dangerous when you are adding water directly into concentrated acid or base. It is extremely dangerous. Okay, because why? Because it leads to spill, or you can say splash of that material or the splash of that mixture onto your skin. Okay, fine. And also the container might break. Hence, it is always preferred that you should add acid or base slowly into water, that too by constant stirring. Okay, that's how dilution is preferred. Okay, now what is dilution? The process of mixing acid and base in water is called as what? Dilution. Okay, now what happens when acid and base you're adding slowly into water? Why basically, when acid and base you're adding slowly into water, why it won't lead to any spill or the splash of the reaction mixture? Why? Because what happens, as you are adding concentrated acid and base slowly into water, what happens? The concentration of H plus ions. What happens when you are adding acid and base slowly into water? What happens? Why it won't lead to any spill of the reaction mixture? Because the concentration, as you are adding acid or base slowly into water, what happens? The concentration of H plus ion and OH minus ions, what happens? Decreases. Okay, what happens? The concentration of H plus ions and OH minus ions, what happens? It decreases. Okay, and the solution is said to be diluted. And the solution is said to be diluted. Okay, this is what dilution is. What is dilution? Let's see it again. The process of mixing acid and base into water. And it is always preferred that you should add acid and base slowly into water. Why? Because the concentration of H plus ions and the OH minus ions decreases. Okay, and hence the solution is said to be diluted. But if you are adding water into acid, okay, or water into base, what happens? As it is highly exothermic reaction, the reaction mixture might splash onto you and it might cause burn. Okay, and also the glass container might break. Hence it is always preferred what? You should add acid and base slowly into water. Okay, so this is all about the dilution process. It is extremely important process. Okay, fine. Thank you. If you like my video, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.